Welcome to another edition of SportsHeaven. This week we're changing tack slightly and turning our attentions to the amateur football scene. One team making a lot of headlines in the Renfrewshire area are Houston and Killellan. Heaven's 11, as they're known to their hardcore following, have had a somewhat meteoric rise to the Strathclyde Evangelical Church League since forming in 2004. They swept to consecutive promotions to the 3rd and 2nd divisions before finishing in 4th place in the Premier Division last term. They've got high hopes for the new campaign, and I'm delighted to welcome their manager David Waddell in the studio with me today. David, thanks very much for joining me.
No problem, Paul.
2 weeks to go then before the first game of the new season. How are preparations unfolding?
Yeah, not bad, Paul. Thanks for asking. We've certainly stepped things up over the last couple of weeks. Now doing double sessions down at Riverside. We've had one pre-season friendly today. It was a narrow 2-0 defeat. We've not got the biggest squad, so I felt on the day we competed well. It was a good exercise for the boys to pick up that kind of match sharpness and get back into the swing of things.
And have you lost any boys from last season? I know that throughout the course of the season you'd picked up a few injuries along the way, and at some stages last season you were only having 12 or 13 boys turning up. Have you added to the squad?
Yep, we've managed to maintain the full squad we had there for last year. You know, a couple of clubs sniffing around some of the bigger names, but managed to fend them off, managed to keep your David Nixons and your David Barneses, so that's always a plus. There is a few new faces coming in. We've added 2 to date, with another one in the pipeline at the moment, so looking to be going with a squad of around about 20 for the season starting.
And how important is it to have such a big squad in the amateur football scene when a lot of players sometimes have other commitments on a Saturday morning? They might be working or they might have weekend plans. How important is it to, I mean, what's your ideal number really, I suppose? I
would say 20, that's probably just about right with the balance of keeping everyone interested and keeping it competitive, but at the same time, as you say, it can be unfortunate at times where you're often missing players not through injury but through being out in the bevy on a Friday night or away for the weekend with the girlfriend, or there's numerous other factors, work commitments, all these things come into play and make my job a wee bit more difficult,
And what about the new players that you've signed? I know Big Timmy's come in from, is it Auchenfoyle, is that correct?
Yeah, he was a marquee signing, Big Timmy.
What's he going to offer to this team?
First and foremost, I think versatility could be one of the key factors. He's a big lad, he's a good athlete, good bit of pace about him. I think he could slot in well in the wide areas, be it at the back or further forward, possibly even the midfield. And he would also give us another option for central defence with his height. Okay, and last season, going back to the injury problems again, I know that Richard Devlin and Stuart Money missed large periods of the season with kind of niggling injuries, nothing too severe. What kind of shape are they in ahead of the new campaign? Well, they've both been going through some fairly extensive physio work over the last fortnight. I think Stuart Money, as you said, he's just constantly breaking down with one thing or the other, I think currently at the moment it's a hip complaint he's got, but he's been advised to rest up and take it easy over the next couple of weeks to try and get him ready for the big kick-off. Devlin, I know he's been diagnosed with a slight calf tear, but we're also hopeful that with the correct rest and recuperation that he can be available for the opening weekend.
And I know you've been doing your training down at Ardgrive. Has Ernie Barnes been putting you through your paces?
He certainly has been, Paul. You've been there yourself. I think you're well aware.
I've missed a few myself, but I've been there most of the time. Certainly, he's putting us through our paces and making his work harder than ever, really. Yeah,
I think he gets the best out of the boys. He's certainly fitter than any of us for a man of his age. So yeah, I think the sessions, it's been a gradual build up. I think he's done it well, as he always does. He started off the first couple of weeks, maybe guys away on holiday, too many weekends spent in the pub, whatever, and he started them off gentle, but now things are going to start to pick up with the imminent arrival of the competitive matches.
And how pleased were you in your debut season in the Premier Division last season? You came up on the back of consecutive promotions and got a very credible 4th place in the league. Will that experience bode well, and are you really looking to push a title challenge this season?
Yes, certainly with managing to retain the vast bulk of the squad and then add in a couple of bodies, I think that we certainly should be right up there. Coming up straight away, I suppose last year we weren't too sure what to expect standard wise after consecutive promotions, and obviously you need to sort of try and lower the unrealistic expectations of the fans at times. They're expecting just to steamroll your way through to another title, but I think now we've had the benefit of the experience of a year in the top league. We know what to expect. we know that the teams that finished above us, we took points off them and gave them a game whenever we played them. So there's absolutely nothing to suggest that we can't push on this year and look to clinch a title.
And what about Neil Barnes? He was missed for many parts of last season because of work commitments up in the Granite City.
Yep.
What's his situation? Is he back down for this campaign?
We were hopeful of capturing his signature, to get him back in. He was a player that I really liked in his previous spell at the club. He offered you a real goal threat from the right wing, good athlete, gets up and down, good physique. He really knows what he's doing. But unfortunately, with that, just couldn't compete with the offer
that he got from his employer.
from Boots. Boots just essentially trumped us there by offering full-time employment rather than a game Saturday morning.
Yep. And what about Big Nixon? At times last season he looked as if he thought he was better than the rest of the team.
Yep.
We needed to calm him down a little bit. I think you managed to do so quite well. Are you retaining the big man's services? The big man who was, previously, if you didn't know at home, he used to play for Airdrie United in the Scottish First Division. Have you captured his signature for next season, David?
It's not down on paper yet, but it's certainly looking very promising. I've been in discussions with his agent this week, and I think we're coming closer to reaching an agreement. It was obviously a bit of a coup for us when we got the big man in, and he did well. He possibly struggled a wee bit last year from not having a settled position. From certain games he was asked to slot into centre half, which would possibly where I'd prefer him to be, and I know he'd maybe had ideas about playing up front, and he did a job for us up there for quite a while as well. So hopefully if we can get a good solid partnership going this year with yourself and him at the back, then I think that'd be the sort of solid foundation to build the rest of the team on. That's a really strong spine to the side. And
you'll be hoping to retain the services of the rest of the spine, the talismanic continental player Graham Walker in the middle, alongside the Bobby himself, Bobby Fischer, and the big man, the big hitman, the big bummed hitman Andrew Cowie, alongside the little David Goodwillie, Gary Hooper lookalike up front, and that's wee Greg McGoldrick.
All the four names you've mentioned there are all big players for us, Captain Courageous Walker there, and Big Bobby Betline.
As he's sometimes known.
They're both returned home safely from honeymoon this summer, which was a concern. I've had assurances from them and from their wives that the missus won't be dictating what they're doing on a Saturday morning, so don't need to worry about getting dragged off to B&Q to pick out gardening furniture or anything along those lines. So I'll expect him to be there most Saturdays. Obviously Bobby in his real job of a policeman, he'll miss a few games, but couldn't get him signed up for that kind of golden handcuffs deal where he'd play once every week. So the two of them should be there. I mean, Cowie, he's not getting any trimmer, but you know what he gives you. He's a good lad, and he can hold the ball up, he can bring other guys into play, he can cheat and win penalties, he can moan at the referee, he can do things that maybe a lot of the guys in the team just aren't willing to do because they're nice guys. The same with Greg, obviously they're quite a promising partnership, I feel, the two of them up front. The kind of little man, fat man partnership, it's worked well for us in the past.
And one man I'll finally ask you about, it's wee Alan, young Alan, now known as the Doc. He's actually graduated from his medical degree this summer. So are you going
I think he's been a doctor for a while now.
No, he's just finished his final sort of exams earlier in the close season. So is that going to free up a bit of income to get rid of the club doctor and essentially kill two birds with one stone and maybe bring another player into the club?
No, well, I certainly think we'll be retaining Alan's services as a player stroke physio.
Right.
The only issue with that comes when he has to administer bandages to his own legs having been kicked. So, I mean, it's an option, I mean, I don't think Andrew, he will not be getting much playing time this year, so he can maybe put him through some sort of first aid course and just try and sort of make use of the wee dumpling.
Well, thanks very much, David, for joining us in the studio today.
Not a problem, Paul.
That's been a very interesting conversation. The next time we'll probably be turning our attention to the world of professional sport again, just moonlighting with the notion of amateur football on this particular week. But it is a pleasure to have David in the studio with us. Thanks very much for your time. You're back down at Ardgrive tonight, are you?
Yep. Hopefully you'll be there too.
I'll be there too. I'll be jetting off just after this broadcast comes to an end. So thanks very much for joining us again on SportsHeaven. We'll be back with you shortly for another episode. Thanks for now.
You want to do this sort of wee chat about it?
You doing alright?
Aye, so hopefully, thanks. No problem.